Oftentimes, I come in contact with parents and educators who talk about children who find reading to be challenging. Now, a number of times, this comes from a place of lack of confidence for the children, and they are wondering, how can I support my child to improve his or her reading skills? My name is Anuoluwapo Michael-Ayeni, and I will be sharing with you some ways that you can help your children to improve their reading skills through falling in love with reading on their own and being more interested in the reading culture. So the first tip I will be sharing is create a rich reading environment. Now, you want to make sure that that child is surrounded by books and they are seeing books being read by the adults around them and by their teachers as well. So encourage them to read by surrounding them with books. So the first thing you want to do is to create that environment that supports and encourages reading at all times. So at times when the children would play or at times where they would have other things they would rather be doing, make reading a priority to them because they see that everyone around them is reading books. Everyone around them has one book or the other. And even when they cannot understand the words in the book, they just want to pick up a book, look at the picture, point at the letters, or even at the sounds that they might have already learned. So 1, create a rich reading environment. 2, read aloud to children. Reading aloud is a very good way to encourage reading in children because as you read to them, you help them to understand that the texts and the letters that they see in books have meanings. So from you, they are getting to learn, they're getting to listen, and they're getting to ascribe meanings to the different letters and texts that they might not have understood before that time. So read aloud to children. Help them to understand that letters, sounds, and words have meanings. And that way you can also build their comprehension. Because as you read to them, you get to ask them questions. You get to have them to recall that which they have heard. So that way they are thinking about what has been read to them and they're trying to find the answers by putting the information that has been read to them together. So number 3, I would say, is to build comprehension. This is a way of checking that they understand all that has been read to them. Next, teach the children to read using phonics. Now we know that phonics is a systematic method of teaching children to read by linking the letters to corresponding sounds. Now when children learn the sounds of the letters and they learn to blend sounds together to make words, it makes what they see in the book more meaningful to them because now they're making an effort at trying to read the words on their own. So the words start to make sense to them because they are making an attempt at reading and gradually beginning to show interest in reading. So this is a very good way of building or enhancing reading skills in children because the more they understand, the more interested they become. A number of times when children shy away from reading, it is usually because they are not confident enough to read or because they are worried that they might make some mistakes. So when children learn phonics, it makes it easier for them to understand. And this is done using the systematic method. So that way they learn one sound at a time, they learn to blend them one word at a time, and they gradually start to read sentences. So with these, they are confident enough to attempt it and gradually improve their skills in reading. Now the next tip is to practice consistently. Make sure that as you teach them phonics and encourage them to read, this becomes a habit for them, not something that they do one day and then they get to do it another time in a week's time or in 2 weeks' time. Make it consistent. Even when the child is still learning, practice daily. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It is not about how long you spend, but about how meaningful the time you spend practicing is to the child. So when you get them to practice daily, they are learning the sounds. The more practice they do, the more sounds they learn. And the more sounds they learn, the more words that they are able to attempt on their own. So this becomes a habit for them. And when they start to read fluently, they love and are already interested in the reading culture. So ensure that you teach children to practice reading consistently. Now, the last thing I will share is to make a habit of reading yourself. Remember, the first tip I shared was to create a rich reading environment, an environment where the children are surrounded by books and become interested in the books because they see it mostly around them. Now, it is important that as the adult, teaching them to read or encouraging them to read, you also are interested in reading. So when they see you reading, instead of engaging in other activities, they also are more interested in reading. So if you're looking to improve reading skills in your children, be sure to follow these 6 tips that I have shared here. First, create a rich reading environment. Secondly, read aloud to children from time to time. Thirdly, build their comprehension skills. Fourth, teach children to read using phonics, which is a systematic method through which sounds are taught to them as a way of helping them learn to read. Next, practice reading consistently. And finally, make a habit of reading yourself. I hope that all of this would help you to improve reading skills in your young learners. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you in the next one.